Cemetery Commission to order at 9 o'clock. First on the agenda is to approve the minutes of February 9th, March 1st, April 11th, May 9th, and June 15th.
You have some changes you wanted to make?
Yeah. My name is spelled wrong in each one of these.
I think I corrected him in a couple of them.
Yeah, but this, my name is still O-R, it's always E-R.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Can we, all
Yeah, we can just amend it with the changes that he's,
right, so then I move that we accept the minutes as indicated and with Robin changing the spelling of your name
I second
prior
it.
to publishing.
Okay.
so,
All in favor?
Aye.
Email about from the Historic District and Historic Commission meeting on October 19th, the CPC article.
yes. So, I attended on October 19th. Is this close enough, Caleb? Okay, thanks. On October 19th at 6 o'clock, and two of our CPC articles that are coming up for this year's town meeting were on the agenda. It was the Revolutionary War and Civil War memorials for Evergreen and the North Harwich Cemetery fence and rails. So I presented both projects. I did update the North Harwich Cemetery fence and rails project because the, I guess it would be the back end of the cemetery had never had a fence before. And because it's not historic preservation, because it wasn't there. So we removed that and we changed the totals, which is later on in the meeting. But they unanimously supported both projects. They did ask us for a preference of what we wanted to have, if we had a choice of which one, and I chose, and I hope you guys are in agreement with this, the Revolutionary War and Civil War memorials first, and then the fence second.
I agree with that.
So we've worked for 2 years on that CPC article in the North Harwich one we just came to our attention. So not that it doesn't need to get done, but if they run out of money, they have to figure out which bucket or which they can use.
Yeah, that's a good
Also, the Revolutionary War and Civil War memorials, last year when we did the circle, it was taken out of the, kind of like the open bucket, which recreation always takes from, rather than the historic preservation. I know that the Brooks Academy is putting in several more articles for restoration of that building. So I think they're concerned that the historic bucket will be diminished and there won't be enough funding. Okay? But they unanimously approved both of our articles, which was
So
fantastic.
the next thing is town meeting for that?
I go before the CPC, I believe it's the 8th of December, it's that Thursday. And that would be here, and I'll do a presentation on both articles to them, a brief one, and any updates that we have. So I am going to ask anyone that's in support of those two articles to come to that meeting to voice their support.
And the public hearing notice and regulations for the Harwich Cemetery, the posting.
Yep. So I submitted this, it's my first public hearing notice, so I wanted to make sure I did it correctly. So I went up to the administration. I gave them a draft, and Ellen was, and Danielle were nice enough to help me with this posting. So it is posted in the Chronicle, and I've given the posting to Caleb to put on the town website. We need to put in the packet information, and I just didn't know how you wanted me to list. I'm gonna put up both rules and regulations, the current rules and regulations, which are the 3 pages of, which are in your packet, as well as the proposed, and I don't know if we wanna write on here, proposed and current. I don't know, or draft, and I don't know how you wanna do it.
How does it go up online? Is it 2 PDF files, one
Yeah,
PDF?
yeah.
2?
Yeah, we can do 2. Caleb, can we do 2 separate PDF files? Yeah. Okay.
Well, then I would just do a cover page.
Cover page
I
for
mean, you
each.
see how this one is front to back?
Yeah, yeah,
I think the old rules should be a separate PDF file, and
Yeah.
just a cover
Current
page.
rules and
Current
regulations.
rules, and then,
Proposed new rules and
and
regulations.
then one on top of this that says proposed, or unless you want to use, Robin, down here, maybe do like 48 font that says proposed.
okay,
You know, the way we say draft?
yep. I just didn't want to put draft on every single page.
Well, and
Sometimes,
I like that you didn't do that because
'Cause
that
sometimes
gets
it's-
so distracting
it,
trying to read it.
right,
I'm glad all the colors are gone.
yeah.
Now, is that proper rules and regulations for the cemeteries?
Where are you reading that?
On the public hearing notice?
Public hearing,
Howard's, updating the Howard Cemetery Commission.
Oh,
rules and
that's
regulations.
wrong.
Cemetery.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's wrong. For the Harwich cemeteries. Yeah, should have said cemeteries, not, that was incorrect. I'll fix that. And send that update to,
you're emphasizing.
thank you, I'm so sorry about that.
Look at the minutes for a second.
Sure.
Did, Cindy's the one who transcribed all of those?
3 or 4.
I think she did 3 of them. The one that I did was the last one where your name was spelled correctly. So I did one of them, and Cindy did,
The other ones.
yeah, oh, no, the one that, the 15th, actually, that was done by you, Rob. And then, that was when we toured the cemeteries.
Oh, so
Remember, and you made a
I
list.
apologize.
Yeah,
Honor,
and then,
15.
no, yours was correct. And then, the other one Cindy's did.
Cindy did.
So it said, recorded by Cindy Eldridge, respectfully submitted by me, yeah.
That was a big job she did to get all
She
those
did.
things done.
That was-
Holy cow.
I did appreciate
Oh, I
that.
did. ER,
You got
my
it.
bad.
No, ER is correct,
No, ER is correct.
ER is correct.
yeah.
OR is wrong. And PH is wrong too. But that's all right. It's been spelled a lot worse than that.
Okay.
You have the Veterans Day Memorial Ceremony flyer.
Yes, so Shawnee's been working on the Veterans Day ceremony. I helped her reach out to the town, actually the school district, Tony London, she's fantastic at the administration building, and make sure that all of these people would be able to be in attendance. So it's going to be on November the 11th at 11, so always 11, 11, 11. And it will be at Island Pond. This is probably going to be the last time at Island Pond.
Hopefully.
And then the only other thing is, I did go and do in public announcement, I went before the Board of Selectmen to tell them about that, because oddly enough, the rec department has rented out the Brooks Park for a wedding at 11 o'clock on the 11th. So I think a lot of people will probably pull in there thinking,
That's everybody's.
yeah, because it'll be a crowd there. So I wanted to make sure everyone knew that it was at the cemetery and it's not at Brooks Park.
Was it ever at Brooks Park?
No, Memorial Day is always at Brooks Park because we have the band, and Veterans Day is always at a cemetery, yes. Just wanted to clarify in case somebody, that people might not remember, and they'll
That may be something to, maybe write a letter to the band to consider for Memorial Day, because Memorial Day at a cemetery, because that's what Memorial Day is all about,
Right.
as opposed to Veterans Day. Is there a
Well,
way to maybe
I
have the
think
band-
they do it there, so, because the band plays in the bandstand, and they've always just done it that way,
No, I know,
yeah,
that's what Memorial Day is about, and maybe
right,
that could be at the new Veterans Circle,
yep.
Something to discuss in a future meeting.
Pretend, yeah, we can bring it up.
And then we have any other business? We have the Cemetery Association.
Yes, they sent this to us after the meeting was posted, and so it is just my annual, but the New England Cemetery Management Seminar. Last year, you and Cindy both attended that event. It is just Monday and Tuesday and then you come back Wednesday. But they have a lot of, they always have great programming there. It's more when you talk in between to the suppliers and the different people. And there'll be a lot of suppliers there that I would like to talk to about the different memorials that we will be undergoing at the Veterans Walk of Remembrance. As well as there's other things about turf management that are on the agendas. And then gravestone conservation and preserving old graveyards, and that's probably going to be very interesting. I know that this couple, they spoke like 10 or 15 years ago when I first started going, and they were pretty good. But I'm sure they'll have some new techniques for us to use. But the turf alternatives and ground covers for cemeteries, I think is really important. There are a lot of raised lots in like Mount Pleasant and Island Pond. And it'd be better for us if we put in some low-growing ground cover as opposed to having the guys go in there with a weed whacker because it's surrounded by stuff and you can't get the mower into it. So, I mean, they physically have to go in and weed whack. I know that when we went out to Mount Auburn, a lot of the cemeteries who have enclosures around their cemetery lots have moved to just strictly ground cover within that perimeter, so that way it doesn't cover the monuments, but at least it's some kind of vegetation, so that it doesn't have to be weed whacked. The weed whackers, ruin the monuments anyways, so you kind of don't want to weed whack near them. And so I'm very interested about that particular topic.
And it's just on the Tuesday, the 6th?
That is on Tuesday, the 6th. Tuesday, the 6th has the majority of the accounts. They do have some more talks that are on Monday, ensuring your perpetual care funds will stand the test of time. A lot of people are trying to make sure some of the perpetual care funds in the past were not invested correctly or weren't getting the most amount of interest. As you know, we get to expend the interest, not the principal. So it's important that we know that those funds are being, and what I can do is I can go to downstairs and get lists of what our perpetual care funds are invested in, maybe for the next meeting, and then we could look at that before I go to the meeting, and that way we'll know if there's anything we want to add.
Just not all pooled with other,
Some of them are pooled. At one point, we had, the previous treasurer had them in accounts in some bank that was not getting enough interest. And when Paul Doan was on our commission, he went down there and he recommended that they moved a lot of them, and they did. I just don't know with the way the economy and all the interest rates that we're getting currently, if we're, better off throwing them in CDs or something like that.
yeah, I'd like to get involved with that, if
Okay,
that information when you get it.
okay, perfect.
Or we can set up a meeting and go down and discuss it with them or something.
And then the other thing they're talking about on Monday is, should cremated remains rest in peace? I think a lot, there's some controversy about people burying cremated remains and how many cremated remains can go in each cemetery lot. And that's pretty much the topic of that, and then cremation memorialization. So they're doing a lot on cremation on Monday, which is, the majority of burials at this point. I had 2 cremation burials on Saturday. I think some of our older residents are still having traditional casket burials, probably because they pre-planned and they paid for it already, and they're going that route. But a lot of the younger people or people who didn't pre-plan are being cremated. So those courses are always beneficial.
Now, our standard cremation lot, can we put 2?
A standard cremation lot, if it's just a cremation lot, which is 3 feet by 4 feet, you can have 2 cremains. If it is a traditional full-body burial lot, a lot of those people buy that because they want an upright memorial, and you can have up to 4 cremations for $800 versus if you wanted 4 cremations in a 3 feet by 4 feet, which then means, if you bought 2 of them, it would be $1,000. It's cheaper for them to buy if they're gonna have their kids buried with them it's cheaper for them to buy a traditional burial lot. And because they're doing cremations, a lot of those lots can be on the perimeters of the cemetery near trees, if they're not going to be putting in, digging the hole for a vault or a casket. I mean, there's a lot more space that you can put those in all of the cemeteries because they're cremations.
Is there a vault type of thing we put the cremains in, or?
No, we don't require that. We only require that all of our cremations are in a non-biodegradable container, so that if they wanted to retrieve them, which people have come back and said, you know what, we've now moved to Texas, our family's never coming back to Cape Cod, we want my mother's cremains back. So we would dig up whatever urn or whatever they put their mom in, and so they could bring it with them to their new location.
My
If they,
mother-in-law's in a marble, granite. Very fancy, very nice, but.
yeah, you can get a urn vault. They sell urn vaults, and a lot of people prefer them. They just want their urn to go into something nicer. It's all personal preference.
We didn't make that a requirement.
We do not make that a requirement, and I don't think it should be. It couldn't be cost prohibitive for some families, and I think some families just, they go the cremated way because it's a lot cheaper. And, some of them are on fixed incomes, and they just can't afford the whole
Yep.
expense.
And we don't have a restriction on spreading the ashes.
You cannot spread ashes.
Did we put that in?
It's not in there because you can't do it. You can't
Is that
just,
state law?
yeah, if you wanted to spread ashes, you would have to go, so if you're gonna do a burial at sea, you're supposed to go out, I think it's 1.5 miles or something like that, to spread ashes. You just can't spread ashes. That's a state.
People.
People do it all the time.
They do it all.
I know, it's very common, especially at,
Laws over in Seaside.
especially at like sporting events. People bring ashes to the Red Sox all the time, or they'll bring them to the Patriots Stadium all the time, but you're not supposed to do that. But, how are you gonna stop people from doing it? You'd have to catch them doing it, but.
And the rationale, it's,
I don't know the rationale, we just follow the rules, we
not
don't,
germ-related at that point.
no, it's not.
But that's a state law, though.
Yeah, that's state, that's not
So
us.
we need to apply
No.
that to ours.
No.
That, we don't need to amend that into our,
No, because it's a state law, so it's a mass general law,
okay.
Yep.
Are you going to go away for this,
yes.
the whole thing? So I make a motion that we fund Robin's
Did Cindy want to
entire
go?
trip.
I asked Cindy, but she didn't get back to me yet, but, we can always add more people after,
And pay for that out of the, I think it's the revolving account.
yeah.
Okay, I'll second that we send Robin and may amend for 1 or 2 more people.
Okay.
Because that Tuesday stuff looks kind of interesting, the ground covering.
Yeah, and did you guys just come up for the day for last year? Yeah.
We stayed for dinner and
Yeah, it's really nice. They do a great job. Their speakers are usually amazing, so, they work a whole year on it to get the best speakers for.
yeah, the ground covering, the other parts on Tuesday looked interesting. The grave preservation and stuff like that, the old graveyards.
Yep.
So that's a unanimous vote.
Unanimous vote to send Robin. Now, under old business, up-to-date totals for revolving account and cemetery budget.
All right, I think I might have these. Probably put them in yours and didn't save a packet for myself.
You didn't save one for you?
Wait, I can use Cindy's. Okay. Alrighty. So our up-to-date totals in the revolving account as of yesterday is $117,553.26. So far this fiscal year since September, or July, actually, we've taken in $44,455. $38,655 was in lot sales, the percentage, the 90%. $4,300 was in actual burials. That's at $100 apiece. And then markouts were $1,500, and that's at $75 apiece. So we've been extremely busy with burials. Some days having over 2 burials a day. So I think that it's just a trend that's probably going to increase. And even though that now if somebody wants to put somebody's date of death on a memorial, what was happening previous in other years was they would just contact the monument dealer and they said, we just want to put mom's date on the memorial. And then now I'm making Tom have them contact me. So that by them contacting me, I'm saying, are you interring your mother's ashes, or is this a memorialization without interment? Oh, we're just gonna do it later at another date. So if they're gonna do it later at another date, I get all of that information up front. I think what some people were doing was putting the date on and then just putting them in themselves. Not everybody, but some people were. So I think that by cross-referencing it with the vendors and making sure that I get all the paperwork, it's really important, especially when people call me and they say, we're looking for Elizabeth Smith's great burial site. If I don't have any paperwork saying that Elizabeth Smith was buried there, and they just went and put the date on, I wouldn't know where she was, what lot she was in, or any of that information. So by them just having a conversation with me, we usually hammer out when they're gonna do the interment. And I think now that's why our burials have gone up quite a bit, because now we're now we're actually getting all of the people who are actually being interred, as people were just doing it, I think, maybe on their own, because they're like, well, they don't have a casket, so we don't really need a funeral home to do it. We can just do it whenever we want, but we can't have people digging holes in the cemetery and putting in ashes without us knowing. Right. So,
How much of the revolving account is going to be used for the veterans?
so I'm estimating, and I don't have a solid amount, and we also have the software for Evergreen that's on the agenda later. So $3,200 is for the cemetery software for Evergreen, which is going to index all the lots exactly like we did in Island Pond. And then the hardscape for the Veterans Memorial Circle will be coming out of the cemetery revolving account, which will be substantial, I think.
Right, so we're nowhere because of debts that are coming,
Right.
we're nowhere near what we really have. But what I was getting at was, would it be appropriate to transfer as needed to the Veterans Memorial account that the town has set up?
So when it goes into procurement and when we procure the vendors for each one of these, they do transfer the funds. So say we went out to bid, and we'll just go with the hardscape was $25,000. Once it's procured, and accounting then takes that amount of money that we have said we're going to expend on it, and they transfer those funds out of this account into that account to pay that vendor under a certain vendor number.
So, I mean, now, we have reached the limit of my accounting skills.
Yeah.
Despite the masters. But at some point, wouldn't it be appropriate to have a line item, maybe below this, that says, this is coming?
All right, so I can put that on.
So we say we have $117,000
Yeah.
in the revolving account, but in very short order, we are not, because that money is spent in theory, and
Right.
just hasn't been narrowed down to the exact vendor size.
Okay.
You see what
So do you want me to put in there,
Future
it's like,
expenditures?
it's like, you save for retirement,
right,
but you don't know how much retirement's gonna cost, because you're only 30, and then you hit 65 and you're retired, and you're like, well, this is how much money I'm gonna need. So we know this is coming.
okay,
So I know you were concerned that our revolving account was getting large.
Yeah.
But from where I'm sitting, it's not large.
No.
Could be.
and we do have a lot of expenditures, so do you want me to make a
Light item like that says future upcoming expenditures or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what's appropriate to do that. I mean, there's
so-
certain rules for this, but
So we used to do that at the South Harwich Meeting House when we were doing that project, when we were restoring that building, where we had how much money we had, but then we'd already write what we already know is coming that we had to spend out of there, so we would know the.
earmarking,
Yeah.
it's.
So I can do that for the next meeting.
Yeah, I just thought it might make that number more realistic for us and whoever keeps
Okay.
tabs on that.
Now, the Veterans Circle is next, but I got an email from Megan Eldridge.
Yeah, so this is an old email, so we have a new, Mrs. Ellis is now the old Carol Capola. And so I reached out to her and said, Carol, we're supposed to be setting up an account where we can put our donations for the Veterans Memorial Park, I guess, for, expenditures that we have in there to defray the cost. I said we have a CPC article going in that we could use funds for, and as well as the Walk of Remembrance, so, which both of those could use funding. So she didn't know about this email, so then I found this old email, and I put it in the packet, and I sent it off to her, so that she would be aware that we had gone to Joe and Megan and Carol to talk about getting a special account set up for these funds. And then in the process of what has already transpired, so she doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, this has already been vetted by all of these people, and that we just need the account set up. So I did talk to her, and she is gonna look into it and see if Carol has already created us one. And as soon as she lets me know, I wanna then draft a form, so that way we can put it on, we'll put it on our regular town website, any literature we wanna do.
Well, did the Facebook page
Yeah.
for that, and there is as an administrator, you're one too, at the top, there's like a news window
Yeah.
where, that will always be present when you go to that page, and we can have
Yeah, and we can put up a PDF form on that page that has what they would have to fill out, and then they make the checks out to the town of Harwich for the Veterans Park or whatever. We'll have to figure out we can go back and forth and figure out exactly what we want on that form. But at least it's in the process, and hopefully she'll have that finished up in short order.
Is there a way to electronically do this with the town
I don't know, but I can go downstairs and check with,
without paying the fee,
okay,
like you have to do for,
okay.
don't get me started.
I'll save that for another day.
Okay. Thanks for doing that.
Okay.
Robin.
Then we have the
So-
Veterans Circle.
Yeah, so I did my terrible, kind of like highlighted in, kind of, because the center circle is going to have the oath on it. So I've been trying to get in touch with Paul. He is so straight out, but he hasn't got back to me about whiting out that center, because the center circle will have a raised, so we're going to be putting this out to bid. So I will have all the dimensions for the center circle, which is going to be just gray granite, and it's going to have the oath on it, circling around it. And then that way, the lady has reached out to me from Hamco. They're anxiously, can't wait to put in their flags. They have everything in stock and ready to go. So we just need to get the hardscape going. I will write up a proposal to bid on all of this stuff and get it out as soon as possible. I don't know if we want to go and do a procurement. I'll have to check which, depending on how much money it is, it might have to go out for public bid. That's
the original.
that's for the software.
No, this is 32,
That's
oh
for.
yeah, that's the software
That's
one,
the software.
sorry.
Yeah,
Should we have one more dimension that shows the outside dimension of the brick where the batches are?
yeah. So it does. It has it at the top. It's 75 feet.
That's the whole thing with a 10-foot piece of grass.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're saying on the inside. So it would be,
So they know the outside diameter of the whole brick itself, where the benches are being
Would it just be, it would just be 55?
I know, but what I'm saying is you should probably label that,
Oh, okay.
because the last time this went out.
I know, it was not
it was
correct.
Misread, and that thing was way off.
Okay. All right, I'll reach out to Paul. I'll give him a call today and see if he can just put an inside dimension.
It dimensioned everything.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's easy math. Anybody with common sense could figure it out, but it didn't go right last time, so. The more numbers and information we can put on the thing, the less chance of error, I think.
Okay.
So we're just discussing Veterans Memorial right now?
Right now, we're just, this is just the hardscape, and then we're gonna go do, so you have the original dimensions of the, I turn it over.
Well, this is for that.
Right.
That we originally wanted.
Right, and then that's gonna be included in the packet. So it'll show this, and then
This?
it'll, yes.
I thought we couldn't afford this anymore.
No, that's a different one. That's different.
Right.
That's the one that Tommy did, right?
Last meeting we did,
We're just gonna do a big flat.
right.
No, it's not flat, that one is the slightly beveled one.
Yeah, this is, if this is the same thing, this is from Cold Spring.
Oh, no, that's not, that's different. Cold Spring was just too expensive. Tom did a new one that's smaller,
Okay,
so that was at 2 meetings ago, but I'll make sure that that's in the packet for the next packet, so you can look at it.
well, because what I was gonna bring up was fuel costs have come way down from
Yeah.
when you last spoke to these people.
Right.
Is it worth your time to,
I don't know, how much that was like pretty,
yeah, I can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
42.
Yeah, so I think it's better that we go with the smaller one. I think that was just too big in diameter. And I kind of want to get it,
Rock of Ages was even cheaper.
So that Senate granite disc gonna be 5 foot in diameter.
yeah, rather than 8. What was that, 8 or 10?
This was 6.
6. And what are we saying it's going to be now?
5. Says here 5, and then we still gonna put the ring of granite around it?
Yeah, because that's where the lights go into.
Okay.
So the lights go into the flat granite piece that will shine up to the American flag.
Okay, and then that thing is just gonna be a flat stone, or are we gonna put that bevel on the outside edge, who's gonna do the writing?
So it was just going to be like a slant, I think, instead of a rounded. Remember, it was going to be,
Yeah, beveled edge.
you know, we
Right.
probably could have a short meeting just with all of these dimensions to go over them before I put it out. I think that we should, just to confirm.
To make sure everything. all
Yes.
the dimensions, because that last time, the whole thing was gonna be 10 foot in diameter, and that was just,
Yeah, that got translated wrong, yeah.
okay.
All right. I'll look at that.
Call Paul and see if he can make those quick changes, and
Okay.
we appreciate all his hard work, and
I know.
send him to dinner somewhere.
Yeah. You could send us a bill, too.
I know that.
So the other thing is the documents on the Evergreen Cemetery software to go out to bid. So this has all been done. It's been approved. Wendy has signed off from the finance department, and Joe has signed off on it as well. The cost is $32,000, and it will be, if you see the little map, it's going to do the entire cemetery. So it'll do everything, all of our current burials. If anyone's looking for anyone that, the way Evergreen is shaped, it's pretty difficult, so you don't know if you're on the older section, the newer section. If somebody calls, it can be a little bit overwhelming because it is a large parcel of land. And this way, this one will have the same stuff that it's so easy to use the one in,
Was that about the same cost as the,
it's less.
it's less than Island Pond was?
Yeah, because we're not doing any trees or vegetation. We're just doing the memorials and the residents. So each person that's in there. Okay?
This is gonna go out to bid, or do we need to?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna put that out to bid, probably by the end of the week. So you guys will probably get it at your next meeting to approve.
And it's going out to the same gentleman who bid.
Well, you know what, it's kinda, I don't know if you guys want me to wait and then do it when I go to my conference, because there'll be, all the vendors will be there that do software. Or we could do it in
Just
a,
bring the bid proposals with you at that point, pass them out then?
I can. And then give them a week to get back to me.
Versus-
Didn't we didn't do this before with the fellow that did Island Pond?
We did, I mean, we're gonna give them to all the same people. So last time what I did was I reached out to a couple of the previous vendors, but you never know if there's anyone new coming in, and maybe they can do it cheaper. So,
Yeah,
might
we-
as well.
We probably should.
Yeah, we might as well try to get it as cheap as we can. I mean, we've been doing pretty good on our,
Can you send them out to the original list that we have and put the due date after, the week after the meeting?
sure,
And then you can go up there with some more copies and pass out to whoever you think may be. Pretty cool.
okay,
That sound reasonable?
yeah. Might as well, the more that we get in, the better. I mean, we get a great price. So then I also have put in here, oh,
CPC articles for
the East Harwich Union. So they are,
pictures.
I know you took those. No, we're talking about that's not this one. So the East Harwich Union, so they have tagged all the stones, but it's now, the water's off there and they can't do the restoration without the water being on. So that's a little bit halted right now until probably the spring. So that's just a brief update on that article. And then this one is, the updated revised application,
For the fencing.
yeah. So it's come down, so the total cost is $86,000. I put a 10% contingency fee on it, so it came out to $94,600. And on the back, you'll see, in orange is the area of the current fence that's installed. I did also talk to Alan Hall, who's very involved in trying to help us with this project. He said he would do a lot of the work on the perimeter line, which is on the left-hand side of the page if you look at the diagram, helping clear that area
Back line.
for the back line. In here, to the left of the property is owned by Robert Auer, the construction company, and he would like to see planted maybe a thicker hedge, so that way if they ever do put this, construction debris or whatever debris they put there, it would be blocked by the cemetery, something like Leland cypresses or some type of a hedge, so that it's year-round thick, so that you can't see into whatever they're gonna develop over in that section. I agree with that. I think that,
Instead of fencing along the back by
Yeah.
this hedgerow.
yeah,
I like that idea.
yeah, because it didn't have a fence. There were a couple of it looked like it did at one point, but it didn't. It had some fence posts that were extra that were laid down on the side. That was a little bit of the confusion. Now that we found out that it wasn't all along that side, I think the hedge would be the best way to go.
So go down the rest of the side and across the back with a hedgerow.
Correct.
This is every 5 or 6 feet, you put another Leland cypress and let it go.
Yeah. And they'll grow big over the years. I mean, they're not doing any construction on the property now.
They grow fast, too.
Yeah, but, so that way it'll just close in the cemetery for privacy. I'm gonna shut this door.
I like the idea of the hedgerow. That would be a nice backdrop instead of.
Oh, I
just
agree,
going off
yeah.
in the woods. And other old business.
So you don't need anything from us on this?
Nope.
Right now, okay.
Nope.
You have stuff on the memorial, on the
That'd be
walk,
really new business, but,
new business?
yeah.
Where's new business? Oh, not new business. You have all the deeds. Any other old business?
I don't think so.
How's the progress going on Bank Street? I've seen they've been in and mowed it, and it looks cleaner down there.
So I did contact the Seaside Arborist, who is our tree company. They're gonna have to go in there and remove some of the trees that are on the perimeter of the property to put in the fence. Because it's enclosed by two houses, I don't want our guys cutting down any trees in there. So I did reach out to Brian at the DPW, and he usually schedules them and asks them if we could be put on the schedule so that we can take down some of the trees in there. And that we would meet them down there and to limb up some of the trees that are,
Save what's good and get rid of what's all
yeah.
that junk trees.
So as soon as they have a free date, they'll let us know. We'll meet down there with the Seaside Arborist and go over the dimensions of the lot with them so that they know which area they should be working in.
Okay, and have we ever got a letter off to the
No.
abutters?
No.
Is there anybody in town that can do that?
They're hiring an engineer right now. So hopefully when he gets in, and a surveyor.
I'd go put a sticky note on his door so we're first on the list.
Okay. For getting the trees down and delineating the line specifically, I mean, worst case scenario, we can do the back if we just have to, it's only one little corner at the front, and actually those, I think where the shrubs are, isn't where the fence is going anyways. So I think that can happen after the fact. But the back half of it, just getting it fenced in, I think is the most important, and cleaning it up, I mean, it looks terrible. So overgrown, it's like a jungle in there practically.
Poison ivy and all the other stuff that's growing
Yeah.
in there. Under new business, we have deeds we have to sign.
Yes, and there's extra deeds in there, if you want to just, you can either hand them back to me, Steve, and I'll read them off, because I had a couple people come after that pile right there.
Yep, I know, I gotta sign them still, but.
Okay, so you can just read them if you want. You can read the
Thomas P. and Shelley O'Neill,
Yep,
and then we have Christopher and Stephanie Beard
Yep.
O'Neill, John H. and Margaret A. Baltz, David and Susan Mahan, Elaine Mason, and Mark and Deborah Morgan Burnaby.
yep,
And then we have bills.
yep.
The Seaside Arborist, ICCFA, New England Cemetery Association, and Eversource.
Yes, correct.
Well, that's for your accreditation, or membership to the Cemetery Commission?
The ICCFA? The ICCFA is that's the International Cremation. They do a lot of online webinars and stuff that I take a lot of. It's $99 a year because we're a municipality. If we weren't a municipality, it'd be very expensive, but they offer a lot of educational information for cemeteries.
Is that on, did we sign that on that, is that listed on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
And any other new business? I'll sign.
A meeting or two ago, we were discussing, the appearance of the monuments, and months ago, we had talked about having a Gold Star Memorial. I reached out to an organization. Caleb, can you put that, that picture up? Yeah. That'd be great, thanks. So there's this organization, I gave you a handout, it's the Woody Williams Foundation. I played phone tag with Alex, who's one of the representatives, and we just could not hook up. It was kind of funny. But in the big picture of things, I don't think this is something we want to do, but I still wanted to share it with the commission, just because it is beautiful, and to let the public that's listening know it's a worthwhile organization. Woody Williams was a Marine Medal of Honor winner. and his family, they started this, the Woody Williams Foundation, and they contribute to communities that want to put up a memorial to the Gold Star families. The closest, they're trying to get them in all 50 states and as many communities as possible. This is the one that's in Fall River, which is the closest one to us. But I just wanted to fast forward on this, that I really don't think that this is something that will work in the space that we have for our walkway. This monument, as beautiful as it is, I have a picture that I found online. It's at least 6 feet tall, because there's a gentleman standing behind the words "a tribute to," in other words, to the right of the cutout, and he's taller than that. So if that's 6 feet, it's probably 10, 12 feet wide, and I just don't think we have the space. The cost when Fall River did it, and that's public knowledge online, that was about $50,000. And the Woody Williams Foundation, I believe, contributes about 10%, from what I could gather from news stories about this. But I just wanted to share it. It's something to think about, but just my opinion, I just don't think it's
gonna be too big,
feasible.
I think, for it.
I do
Yeah.
too,
Or maybe we
yeah.
could do a scale down.
Well, I think there's a donor in the works for a smaller Gold Star. You know, one of the concepts that we, I think, discussed last meeting was, you know, if the actual memorials to Harwich residents is on one side of the walkways, you know, starting with the Revolutionary War, Civil War, War of 1812, as we work our way into infinity, opposite those memorials, staggered appropriately by time, could be, you know, a large piece of pink granite with a bronze plaque paying tribute to the Gold Star families. You know, we discussed the Merchant Marine. I mean, they've been contributing technically since the Revolutionary War with blockades and things like that, but their biggest sacrifice was World War II. So it could be appropriate that in the opposite, the World War II memorial would be a good place to have the Merchant Marine. But I will say that in all the research I've been doing, there seems to be a gathering momentum to turn them into a veterans organization or a branch of the service. Because like the old Coast Guard, where they were a civilian organization, except in time of war, then they fell underneath the Navy. The Merchant Marine is somewhat of that type of animal, but anyway, so I just wanted to share that. I just don't think we should keep pursuing that, and we should stick with something smaller, more affordable.
Yep,
Looks nice, thank you.
it's beautiful, though.
It's really nice. Date and time of next meeting.
Well, our next meeting's actually the public hearing.
Okay, but the next commission meeting?
The next commission meeting would be, I think it's the 13th. It's not the first Tuesday, the second Tuesday, because I'm away the first Tuesday. Unless you guys want to have the meeting without me.
No.
Okay,
It's more fun if you're around.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We got nobody to poke fun at. You know.
I think it's,
Cemetery Commission.
I think it's the 13th, correct?
I'm pulling it up right now. So November, the second Tuesday is December 13th.
Yeah.
Are we gonna try and keep it here, or are you gonna try and, we discussed shifting over to the
Well,
community center?
Caleb, they were waiting for furniture, right, Caleb?
Right, we're updating the cameras in the studio, that's why you all couldn't be in there this time. The update should take place at the end of this week, I believe.
Will
Okay.
the new cameras make us all look younger?
We can see if we can work
Can can we take some weight off? That would be fun, too. I'd vote for that.
So is it just December the
13th.
13th? You think it'll be okay then?
that should be.
Okay.
I thought you did a really good job the other night at our annual report.
Didn't sound good in my own ears, but
It never does. Do you know if, was there any feedback from Blink or Jim on our annual report?
No,
Just curious. I would really like to have at least
get those-
Jim and Pete here would be
Okay.
terrific.
for the next meeting, we can go
Okay.
over what their thoughts are on some of the rules, just on the monumentation and for ease of maintenance and stuff like that. and-
okay,
And some ideas on how they may want to approach fixing some of the issues we found places.
okay.
I mean, I think it should be an open invitation that either or both,
Can show up to the
Jim or
meeting.
Pete. Only because, you drive through the cemeteries and you're looking for stuff and you go, yeah.
They have all the hands-on,
But it's like when you're taking care of your yard and you're
Yep.
out there cutting the grass and you go by something 2 or 3 times and you go, that's not right. When did that break? Or,
Yeah,
and that, they just have a different perspective on, you guys really should consider this, or we could use some help. I just think it would be great to get their input.
Okay. All right.
It's like the way you keep us in line. It may be the cemetery commission, but without Robin, we would be, I don't know, looks good to me. Why can't we do that?
Then we
Because
need
Robin
to-
says we can't do that, okay.
and at the next meeting, we should put on there schedule time for touring the South Harwich Meeting House Cemetery.
Yeah, I have a list if you, on that,
There's a couple of
on that
cemeteries.
Google Sheets thing that I did.
Okay.
There's, and most of them are, the small, obscure, or that we don't get involved with anyway, but we probably should just put a stamp that I took a
In
look
there.
at them.
And we did talk about putting a fence around the
Smith.
Smith family cemetery. Did you want me to get a price quote? I mean, that's so small. I
Is
mean,
that something that Eagle Scout would do as a project?
do you want me to reach out to them? I actually have a contact now because I had to do that for the Veterans Day ceremony.
I would reach out to see if there's if he wants to take it on as an Eagle project, the
Okay.
fence and
It has to be just supervised, though, just to make sure that it's in the bounds
yes,
and straight,
Yeah,
square.
and clean up the area.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't get done that way, I'm just,
okay,
instead of having to redo something just because it's not a professional fence installer.
okay. All right. All right, I'll look into that.
It'd be great. If not, we'll go down a different avenue. Or if there's other projects that they want to do in cemeteries, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay, now adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Ooh, at 9:53.
Aye.
53, we're done, Caleb.